Differential equations, type 1, first order. So 2013 was clearly a knock-on effect from Project Maths, where we saw our first kind of change in our differential equations. So instead of having an A and a B question, it was actually broken down into an A, a B and a C, with an unusual C part. So this first part of the question in A actually only became 10 marks, which normally we'd kind of have a 20 mark or at least for our A part question. So this one actually only ended up being 10 marks in 2013. Okay, so again we have our equation given to us as x squared times dy dx minus 7 equals 0, and we want to find the value of y when x is equal to 14, given that y is equal to 1 when x is equal to 7. So first thing we want to do is separate out our equation into our x's and our y's. So I'm going to bring 7 to the right hand side first of all, and then I'm going to separate it out by multiplying across by my dx and dividing across by my x squared. So in other words, we end up with dy is equal to 7 over x squared times dx. Okay, so now what we need to do is look at what are our limits going to be. In other words, what's our start limits and our end limits. Our start being our lower limits and our end being our upper limits. So at the start we know that x is equal to 7 and y is equal to 1, and at the end x is equal to 14 and we're trying to find y. So therefore what I'm going to do is I'm going to integrate the left with respect to y, where my upper limit is the one we're looking for, y, and my lower limit is 1. And then I'm going to integrate the right, but of course we can't integrate 7 over x squared, so I'm going to write that as 7x to the power of minus 2 dx, my upper limit being 14 and my lower limit being 7. Okay, and now we're ready to integrate both sides. So if I integrate the left with respect to y, well, if I integrate dy with respect to y, I get y. In other words, I'm integrating 1 with respect to y. And then we have our upper limit and our lower limit. And then if I integrate 7x to the power of minus 2, well, I add 1 to the power, which is x to the minus 1, and I divide by my new power. And my upper limit is 14 and my lower limit is 7. Okay, so if I go on to the next page here, just so we have more space, we have y minus 1 when I sub in my limits. And then I'm going to have minus 7 x to the minus 1, in other words minus 7 over x, and subbing in, just undo that, subbing in my limits then of 14 and 7, that's going to become minus 7 over 14 minus 7 over 7. So that simplifies down to y minus 1 equals minus a half, and then it's going to be plus 1. So if I bring all of the numbers to the right, I'm going to have 1 and 1 minus a half, which is of course 3 over 2, or we could write that as 1.5. So either answer is correct. Okay, so where are we getting our marks for? Well, we're getting 5 for our integration, and then 5 for our answer. So very nice question, hence you can see 10 marks.